Hey, when you do how-to handyman projects around the house, get yourself some sponges. Look at this. That's all I found. I was going to do the entire thing under here with the sponge. Then I found this under the sink. Whenever you have these and you're using these up above cleaning your dishes and stuff, when they get old, throw one of these or a couple of them down below, down in your cabinet here, because you never know when you're going to need this. Okay? Now, did I do that on purpose to make all this water come all over the place when I had this big tub down here? No. Just sometimes that's just what happens because it was all plugged up like that. And what I could have done is I could have taken a sponge and or a cup or something, and that's probably what I should have done. Up here, I could have drained, I could have gotten a sponge in there or gotten a little Dixie cup or a small cup, whatever, and try to get most of that water out of there before I started taking this trap out. You know, I'm just lucky that I had a big enough tub here. Look how big that is, and that's how much water was in there. I was hoping it wasn't going to overflow, but I wouldn't have had as much water in here to clean up had I just thought about that. And actually, I'm kind of glad I didn't think about it, because probably you're not going to think about it, but now you are, because you see what can happen. Okay, if this happens, fine, you know, you can clean it up, get yourself a sponge, just like I'm doing, wipe it all up. A good thing to remember is you want to leave things the way you found them, make them almost cleaner than you started. This cabinet bottom had grime on it and stuff, and now I'm gonna clean up this whole thing, and it's gonna look nice, fresh, and clean. Just take your time and do things right. Once you have everything cleaned up, yeah, use a towel and dry this out. Don't leave any water in here, because once you put everything back, some of it is gonna keep the cabinet bottom from drying. And then you could have a mark there if you have white melamine, let's say, or just a dry particle board down there or whatever. Okay, dry it up there like that as best you can, and we're gonna get ready. And I had some water down in here too, so I'm gonna dry this up because I don't want to slip as I'm getting back down under there, finishing tightening up the threads, and then I've got to put the cabinet doors back on and that sort of thing. Okay. Step by step, you can do this. Hey, if I can do it, an average Joe, you can do it. Okay, now to tighten down this bottom nut here, and I had the top one. Hey, you know what? Wow, I forgot to do the top one here. And it's got, sometimes you got little nibs on there, so you can take that with your thumbs and finger back there and tighten it up as tight as you can without breaking your thumb. And if you want, with your channel locks, you can do one little bit, you know, like a 1/16 or so. This one's pretty tight, and I'm just going to take that and grab it and do just a little bit. That's it. Okay, like that. And remember, I already had that one tight. I'm going to do this one. Just a hair. Like that. And now this bad boy down here. I'm going to get it as tight as I can. This one doesn't have any of those little nibs. Okay. It's probably fine, but I'm going to try to get just a hair in here. That's why I like bigger channel locks. But you see, I got a little bit there. I'm going to plug this back in. And this pipe here is for the drain for the dishwasher. And I'm gonna stick this back down in there a little bit further, like that. Make sure you plug this stuff in to the right place. This white plug, or this white extension cord actually goes across to a garbage trash compactor. I thought that would keep this down a little bit. It doesn't really. This has already got a memory to it. You know, that's the drain line for the dishwasher, and it comes over and it gets attached up to the top. I wasn't going to show you this, but it seems as though you're right here. See, there's your air gap. So your dishwasher drain goes from the dishwasher, it comes out and it sneaks around and it ziggles up and it goes up to that air gap, and then another pipe goes from there. Let's see, where is it? It's up there somewhere. Where the heck is it? Ah, look at that. You know what? Oh, here it is. See this one here? This goes up to that air trap too. You got the white one going up, that's the drain to the dishwasher, and it goes up to the top because then it grabs air. That's called an air gap, so your dishwasher doesn't go clunk, clunk, clunk. And then this line here goes over, and because there's a garbage disposal, it attaches to the garbage disposal, then it drains out of here, and then comes down here to the trap and on outside the wall. So when your dishwasher goes on, lots of times you might hear water in the garbage disposal. That's why. Okay, enough of that. Back down here, I've got that trap tight pretty much. Now what I'm going to do is there another step? Yes, this is what I do. I'm going to run water down here. Let's get that down there. I'm just going to run water in that for a little bit. What that's doing is it's filling up this trap. Okay? This is going to be filled up with water from this point to this point as it goes down. And what I'm doing now is I'm checking to make sure nothing is dripping off of here or this one. Chances are this one's up too high anyways, because see, that's higher than the pipe that goes out. So I probably won't have any water there unless that were to ever back up, you know what I mean? But you still want to get all this stuff tight because you don't want it dripping as the water's flowing through it and all that. I'm going to let that run, and I'm going to see if anything drips here. I'm going to leave it for a couple minutes, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to put these doors back on. And you saw these doors. Some doors you can take where the hinge is here, and there's a button on the back side. You can press it and then it pops off. Well, these, of course, these don't have that. There's one screw in the middle of each hinge, and that's what pulls this out. You got to make sure you do the right screw because there's other screws. There's a screw back here to adjust your cabinet door back and forth this way, and you've got one here that will also adjust. Okay, so you have two adjusting screws for your cabinet doors, and this is the only one that tightens up. So see, I've got two cabinet doors here, and here's my four little screws, see? So I'm going to put that back on, and yes, you can readjust your cabinet doors. If you got cabinet doors that go together in the middle, see here we don't. Here there's a stile in between each cabinet door. See this? That's called a stile. So these are individual, but sometimes if you don't have that stile, and these two doors are side by side here, one's up a little bit higher than the other one, it's at an angle, one's rubbing, you can adjust the hinges right here. Now, you know. If you're still watching this, I only pointed to the top hinges, but see, you've got the bottom hinge too, so you can adjust the bottom ones too. So if one cabinet door needs to get pushed over to the right at the top, and let's say it's not going over all the way, maybe you need to take the bottom and slide it, adjust the cabinet door so it's going over to the left at the bottom, over to the right at the top. If they're not lined up, you can loosen up the mounting screw, and you can raise these up or down that way too. So there's all kinds of things you can do with these cabinet doors. Now, there's no excuse for your cabinet doors in your kitchen or your bathrooms or your storage areas to not be looking and working properly. I'm still running, checking for leaks, and after I put the cabinet doors on, I close the doors like that, and I could have remembered exactly where they were before, but see how the height is pretty much the same now. After I put this one in, I remembered this one, the hinges were shoved right down on top of the screws, so I made this one the same, and then I closed the doors. This one was way down too low, so I undid the mounting screws, you know, the ones that I just put in, and I lifted the cabinet door up, and sure enough, it went up about a 1/4 inch, and then I tightened it back down. I made sure that this one was pushed down as far as it was. This cabinet door had to be pushed up as far, and then it lined up. Okay, so do some, you know, don't just put the cabinet doors back on, screw them, say, okay, that's fine, that's how they were before. Check it all out, make it look right. This is all nicely cleaned out now. I'm going to clean out, you know, just the green stuff here and throw that away. And I'm checking for leaks. And this right here, you can take a paper towel, shine your flashlight down there, feel on there, and see if there's any water. And if you think there's some water, you can use your rag, by the way, dry this up. And after we put this trap back on, the trap had water on it. Okay? Make sure there's no water visible on there, because if something drips, you might think, oh shoot, it's dripping, and maybe it's just a little bit of water that was on here, and it trickled down to here, and then it dripped. Because I felt some dampness right there just then, and I think that's maybe what happened. And so I'm going to keep running it. I'm going to check it out again here before I try to tighten this up anymore. Okay? If you do experience a leak and you tighten this about as tight as you think you can before you crack that, you know, you might have to take the trap back off and put some Teflon tape on the threads. Now this video, I'm not just going to show you how to put Teflon tape on. I'm hoping actually I don't have to do that. I shouldn't have to, but you know, when you start working with things that are 10 to 15 years old, sometimes you have to do different things. So if this keeps dripping, I'd have to pull this off, wrap the threads on the top part with Teflon tape going in the same direction as the nut, as I tighten up the nut, and then put it all back on there. I could have done that initially, but lots of times, you know, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. So if you have Teflon tape and you want to go through the effort to do that on all your threads, you can. Or put it up and tighten it all up and then do your water test like I'm doing now and see what happens. Because the last thing you want is to call it just to say, oh yeah, you know what, it's fine. I've got it as tight as I can. VideoJoe says it should be fine. And then later on, you come underneath the sink and it's been dripping. One drip every, you know, 20 seconds or something. And now you've got this nice little indentation here in your particle board or your melamine, or you start smelling musty smell there, and it's not, you know, it's all because the nut needed to have Teflon tape on it, or it wasn't tight enough, or maybe it had a hairline crack in it and you didn't know. You know, it could be all kinds of stuff. So make sure before you call it 100%, do the water test. Yes, it's all about tips. See this hat right here? Looks pretty clean, doesn't it? When you have your hats, when they get dirty, throw them in the dishwasher. Make sure you put it in there nicely. Don't put it over something else. And you know what? In some places, some stores, I don't know where exactly, they have this thing that you can put your hat in, a little plastic tray thing, and then you can fold it over there and kind of snap it and then throw it in. But I just leave it like this, and then after the regular cycle, even after the heating cycle, you can pull it out. I did it after the regular cleaning cycle, and now it's all clean. I'm just going to set it here and let it dry. I've seen people actually put it in the washing machine too, but then it's going to, I don't know, it might mark it up a little bit, or might not last as long, it might get out of shape or whatever, but I wouldn't recommend throwing it in a dryer or anything, okay? There's a tip for you. Well, now that I got that sink unplugged and fixed, what am I going to show you next time? Maybe we'll talk about these cabinet knobs, these cabinet handles. Doesn't that look nice? Well, I've got some tips. I'm not going to show you how to install anything because all of these are here. But believe it or not, none of these were here on these cabinets. These cabinets are over 12 years old. You would think there's a finger pull underneath here to pull these cabinet drawers out, the cabinet doors. Nothing. There's no pulls. So before these were installed, you had to put your fingers under there. And look, this was a heavy cabinet drawer because of all the silverware and stuff. I hated opening that up every time coming to see Motha, but Momi and I, we put these on. And we put these on, and I'll show you, I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. It's not just about screwing some handles on. There's lots of things you have to take into consideration, and I'll talk about that next time. Hey, well, that's all the time I have for this time. But I'll be back with more videos.